Freedom of speech. It's something most of us take for granted. The right to speak our minds, to express ourselves, to even criticize when we see something wrong. It's supposed to be a promise, a shield. But what happens when that very promise turns into the reason for someone's death? When the right to speak becomes the very thing that silences a young life? This is the story that shook an entire nation. The tragic death of Abrar Fahad, a promising student from BUET, Bangladesh University of Engineering and Technology. Today's video is sponsored by CyberGhost VPN. And if you've ever hesitated to connect to public Wi-Fi at a cafe, airport, or hotel because you're worried someone might snoop on your data, yeah, you're not being paranoid. It is a real risk. But here's the good news. CyberGhost VPN is here to protect you. It is one of the most trusted VPN services out there, and it keeps your personal information safe by encrypting everything you do online. Over 38 million people worldwide are already using CyberGhost VPN. And it has amazing reviews on Trustpilot, so you know it's legit. Basically, a VPN is a must these days. Your internet provider, websites you visit, or even shady Wi-Fi networks can track what you're doing online. But with CyberGhost VPN, your IP is hidden, and your connection is fully encrypted. That means no tracking, no spying, just peace of mind. You can also use it on up to 7 devices at once. So your phone, laptop, tablet, even your family devices can all stay protected. And yes, if you're like me and love binge watching shows that aren't available in your country, CyberGhost can help you unlock content from Netflix, Prime Video, and more in other regions. Just change your virtual location and you're watching the US catalog from anywhere. And the best part is that CyberGhost offers a 45-day money-back guarantee, so you can try it totally risk-free. Plus, right now, you can get an 83% discount and 4 extra months free with a special link in my description. So if you care about your privacy and want access to way more content, click that link below and start browsing safely with CyberGhost VPN. Now, let's get back to the story. It happened on October 6, 2019. Abrar, just 21 years old, a second-year student in the electrical and electronic engineering department, was found dead inside room 2011 of Sherabangla Hall, right there on the BUET campus. His body told a horrifying story, covered in his own blood, bruised, beaten, and broken. Later, the autopsy confirmed what people feared. He had been tortured. His legs, his knees, even the soles of his feet were shattered. The brutality was unthinkable. As the news spread, so did the outrage. Who could do such a thing? Who could have this much cruelty inside them? Soon, investigators revealed the names. They belonged to none other than the Bangladesh Chhatra League, the student wing of the ruling political party at the time. 25 people, 25 young men who were supposed to be fellow students, brothers, protectors, not killers. The country couldn't believe it. But who was Abrar Fahad beyond the headlines? Abrar was born on February 12, 1998, in the quiet village of Radhanagar, Kushtia. His father, Barkatullah, worked as a banker at the Brak Bank, while his mother, Rokia Khatun, stayed at home to raise Abrar and his siblings. From the very start, Abrar was someone special. He began his schooling at Kushtia Primary School, then went on to Kushtia Zilla School, where he passed his secondary school certificate exams with flying colors. He was the kind of student every parent dreams of: smart, dedicated, humble. After high school, he was accepted into some of the top institutions in the country, including Dhaka University and Dhaka Medical College, the latter being his mother's dream. She had always hoped to see him become a doctor. But Abrar had a different dream. He wanted to be an engineer, to build, to innovate, to make a difference in his own way. So he chose BUET. Not only did he keep up with his demanding academic life, but he also made sure to enjoy the little things. He was part of the BUET Energy Club, where he mixed his passion for engineering with his love of meeting new people. He was, as many would later describe him, a bright soul, someone who lit up any room he walked into. Abrar wasn't just another student buried in textbooks. He was someone who genuinely loved what he was studying. Electrical engineering wasn't just a course to him. It was a passion. He loved technology, and that love made his everyday life at Buet meaningful. Friends and teachers often said he was one of the top students, someone who didn't just excel, but also lifted others up. He was always ready to help his classmates when they struggled, offering guidance, solving problems, or just being there when they needed a hand. But Abrar wasn't just about grades and gadgets. He was also someone who paid close attention to the world around him. He cared about Bangladesh deeply. He was thoughtful, socially aware, and wasn't afraid to share his opinions on the country's social and political issues, often posting his reflections on his personal Facebook page. Since starting at Buet, Abrar had been living away from home, staying in room 1011 of the Shere Bangla Hall, a small but cozy dorm room where he studied, laughed, made memories with friends, and like any student, dreamed about the future. Even though he lived on campus, he never distanced himself from his family. He visited his parents regularly, and just 10 days before the tragedy, he had gone home on leave, planning to stay until October 20th. But with exams creeping up, he decided to return early to focus on his studies, never knowing that stepping back into the dorm would lead him straight into the hands of those who would take his life. So what triggered this nightmare? It all started with a Facebook post. During his exam preparation, Abrar came across news about some bilateral agreements signed between Bangladesh and India during Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's official visit. Like any engaged citizen, Abrar felt strongly about the deals. He disagreed, and so he did what many students would do. He wrote a post calmly laying out his thoughts. He talked about how the Mongla port, once pushed into operation prematurely to combat famine, was now being offered to India, despite earlier reluctance to assist Bangladesh when it asked for help with the Kolkata port. He also pointed out past disputes like the water-sharing conflict between Karnataka and Tamil Nadu, and highlighted how Bangladesh was now set to export LPG gas to India, even as India restricted its own natural resources to protect them. It wasn't some viral post meant to stir up chaos. It was shared only among friends, part of the everyday political discussions common among young people. But for Abrar, this post would cost him everything. The post caught the attention of the Bangladesh Chhatra League, often called BCL, the militant student wing of the ruling party, the Awami League. To put it bluntly, they were feared on campus. Originally founded by Sheikh Mujibur Rahman back in 1948, the organization had since earned a reputation for power abuse, violence, and political intimidation. They had been banned before and even labeled a terrorist organization in Bangladesh, but their presence on campus remained. On October 4th, just 2 days before the murder, Mehdi Hassan Rabin, the organizing secretary of Buet's Chhatra League unit, gave an order in a group chat. We need to teach Abrar a lesson. They even waited for the perfect moment, when Abrar would return from visiting his family and be focused on his exams. This chilling detail was only uncovered later during the investigation when Ifti Musharraf Shakal, one of the group's members, confessed. And then the night came, October 6. Abrar was alone in his room when they came for him. They dragged him to room 2011. He had his laptop and 2 mobile phones with him. Both were immediately confiscated. Mehdi Hassan Rabin and others wanted to dig through his devices, looking for more evidence of his political views, as if that could somehow justify what they were about to do. As they scrolled through his private conversations and social media, Abrar stood there, helpless. Then the first slap landed. It was Rabin himself, slapping him repeatedly, trying to intimidate him, trying to make him talk. But slapping wasn't enough for them. Abrar Fahad, another student, stepped out and returned carrying a cricket stump, an ordinary sports tool turned into a weapon. Without hesitation, Ifti Musharraf Shakal took it and began to beat Abrar mercilessly. His face, his hands, his legs, his body, all took the blows. They hit him again and again until the cricket stump snapped in half. But the beating didn't stop. Despite everything Abrar had already endured, the attackers weren't done. Even after all the slaps, the beatings, and the humiliation, Abrar refused to give them the so-called information they were looking for. And this, in their twisted minds, only made them angrier. Then Anik Sarkar, the Information and Research Secretary of the Buet Chhatra League, entered the room. He was a fourth-year mechanical engineering student, someone who should have been mentoring juniors, not terrorizing them. Without hesitation, he carried in another cricket stump and began ruthlessly beating Abrar again, this time targeting his knees, legs, soles, and arms, blow after blow. Miftahul Islam Zion, the sports secretary, joined in, slapping him and striking his knees with a stump like it was some sick punishment. While this horror was unfolding, Mehdi Hassan Robin was on the phone, calmly discussing the situation with Rasel Mehdi Hassan, the general secretary of Buet's Chhatra League. It was all being orchestrated step by step. By around 10:30 p.m., Abrar collapsed, fainting from the sheer exhaustion and pain. His body simply couldn't take anymore. Seeing him unresponsive, Ifti Musharraf Shakal tried to force him awake by slapping him repeatedly. Majira Rahman, another student, even joined in, whipping Abrar with a skipping rope as if this were some cruel game. For a brief, heart-wrenching moment, Abrar actually woke up, weak, trembling, and he was forced to stand again, only to be met with more blows. Ifti kept smashing his knees with a stump, while others slapped him again and again, almost mechanically. Then, around 11 p.m., Anik Sarkar returned once more, adding to the cruelty, striking Abrar's already broken body with a stump. Eventually, the group left him there, alone, battered and barely breathing. The only act of mercy was Ifti placing 2 small pillows under his head, but nothing could ease the suffering. Abrar, left to himself, vomited repeatedly, even choked on his own vomit. Still, nobody helped. After some time passed, Abrar might have thought, maybe it's over, maybe they're done. But tragically, they weren't. The group returned, this time dragging him from room 2011 to room 2005. Their goal was clear: to extract the confession they believed he was hiding. Amit Saha, another leader, coldly suggested they continue beating him until he finally broke. And so, they resumed the torture. But something changed. Abrar's condition began to worsen fast. Amit realized this and nervously suggested moving him out of the dorm to avoid suspicion. Before making any move, they checked his breathing, his pulse, anything to determine if he'd survive. Mehdi and Anik convinced themselves that Abrar still looked stable and left him yet again. Not long after, Abrar vomited once more. His breathing was labored, his body weak. In a moment of panic, Mehdi suggested they hand him over to the police, trying to shift responsibility. Some students moved Abrar down to the ground floor, laying him on nothing but a bare mattress. Meanwhile, inside Buet, chaos was spreading quietly among the perpetrators. Muntasir Al-Jami was assigned to monitor Abrar's condition, and when he realized how serious it was, he quickly called Ifti for help. But instead of calling an ambulance right away, Ifti's shocking advice was to massage Abrar's body, as if that would somehow undo the hours of torture. Eventually, others joined in, and between massaging and panicking, someone finally called for an ambulance. But even then, delays, miscommunication, and fears of consequences held them back. Tamim, one of the students, tried to buy time by fetching a doctor from Buet's medical center. But it was too late. Abrar's body was shutting down. His breath faded, his pulse weakened, and finally, it stopped. He froze. By the time the police arrived around 3 a.m. on October 7th, Abrar's lifeless body was lying on the ground floor of the Sherry Bangla Hall. He wasn't moving. He wasn't breathing. The medical officer on duty, Dr. Mohammed Mashouk Alahi, confirmed the inevitable. Abrar Fahad was dead. But as investigators looked closely, they immediately knew this wasn't just some tragic accident. The wounds on his body told a story no one could deny. His body was marked head to toe. This was torture. Investigators wasted no time. They secured the CCTV footage from the dormitory. And what they found sent chills down their spines. On one of the recordings, you could see several students dragging Abrar by his hands and feet along the corridor like he was nothing more than a piece of furniture. But perhaps the most disturbing moment of all, at 3:26 a.m., there on the footage stood Professor Mizanur Rahman, the director of Buet's Student Welfare Council. He was calmly speaking to the very suspects involved, standing next to Abrar's body, before walking away as if nothing had happened. The next day, investigators questioned Professor Mizanur. His response? He claimed he didn't know anything, that he had only found out about the incident the following morning. Yet, there he was, caught on camera. Then came the painful task no parent should ever face. The investigators tried to contact Abrar's family, but with his phones and laptop missing, they had no way to reach them. They searched for anyone who could help, and finally found a student named Diganta, who used to tutor Abrar's younger brother. Through Diganta, they reached Abrar's younger brother, Abrar Fahad. The call connected. His voice picked up on the other end, and just like that, the devastating truth reached the Fayad family. Abrar was gone. As the news of Abrar's death quietly slipped out of the dormitory and into the wider Buet campus, a wave of whispers started to ripple through the halls of Sher Bangla Hall. Rumors spread like wildfire, and it didn't take long before fingers were pointing at the Shahatra League. Students were talking, but not loudly. Fear hung heavy in the air. Many knew what had happened, or at least had pieces of the story. But when asked, most stayed silent, too afraid of what the Shahatra League might do if they spoke up. Still, a few brave students from the 17th batch couldn't stay quiet. They carefully crafted a message and posted it on every Buet-related Facebook page and group they could find, even reaching the Buet Alumni Association. The news began to spread beyond the campus walls, beyond Dhaka, beyond Bangladesh. And then another detail surfaced that left people puzzled. Why, after everything, would the Shahatra League themselves call the police? They knew Abrar was dying, or already dead. Why invite the authorities and potentially expose themselves? But as the investigation unfolded, the chilling answer came to light. The plan, from the start, wasn't to hand over a victim. It was to frame him. Investigators discovered that when Abrar was still clinging to life, the League had planned to label him a Shibir activist, a derogatory term used for members of the student wing of Jamaat-e-Islami, a banned political group. One of the League's leaders had even called the police, saying, "We caught an activist. Come and take him away." A patrol was dispatched to Buet immediately. But when the officers arrived at the Sher Bangla Hall, they were blocked. The League wouldn't let them in. This revelation sparked another storm of questions. Was this murder purely about politics? What was so dangerous about Abrar's Facebook post that it led to this? Determined to find answers, Abrar's friends and classmates took matters into their own hands. They started investigating. They dug through conversations, pieced together timelines, and reviewed everything they could find. Eventually, they realized what had triggered it all: Abrar's final Facebook post. His critique of the government's recent agreements with India hit too close to home for the League. At the end of the post, he even added a quiet but sharp poem. "For others' sake, I say, give all your life and mind. Is there such happiness anywhere that you forget yourself?" The message was clear, and to those who couldn't tolerate dissent, it was enough to end his life. Once the motive was clear, the country couldn't stay silent. Students, teachers, activists, and even ordinary citizens flooded the streets. Protests broke out everywhere. In Dhaka, hundreds gathered at the base of the anti-terrorism Raju Memorial Sculpture. At Jahangir University, students and teachers formed human chains, demanding capital punishment for Abrar's killers. In Kushtia, Abrar's hometown, the university students blocked the main highway, joined by their professors calling for justice. And it wasn't just students. Celebrities, artists, and public figures like Prince Mahmood, Mustafa Sarwar Farooqi, Masoom Reza, Chayanika Chowdhury, and Kunal took to social media, expressing grief, anger, and solidarity. International voices soon followed. Embassies condemned the killing. Amnesty International called it a heinous crime requiring urgent investigation. Many pointed out that this wasn't just murder, it was an attack on freedom of speech itself. Under pressure, Buet was forced to act. The university administration announced sweeping changes. They banned all political party activities on campus, on paper at least, though many pointed out that political activity had already been technically banned long before this tragedy. They expelled 19 students, permanently banned those directly involved, promised to cover Abrar's legal expenses and compensate his family, and vowed to create safer conditions for students, including more surveillance, whistleblower platforms, and campus reforms. But the public wasn't satisfied. They wanted justice, not just promises. Finally, on December 8, 2021, a tribunal delivered the verdict. 20 men were sentenced to death. 5 others were given life imprisonment. It wasn't just a trial, it was a message. The court called it premeditated murder. The evidence, forensic reports, eyewitness testimonies, CCTV footage, and above all, the undeniable truth told by Abrar's battered body. Among those sentenced to death were top members of the Buet Chhatra League, including Mehdi Hassan Robin, Anik Sarkar, Ifti Musharraf Sokal, and others. Those who received life imprisonment were determined to have been involved, but not directly, in the fatal acts. Yet, even after the verdict, not all were behind bars. Some, like Muntasir Al-Zemi, managed to escape and remain fugitives. As of late 2024, the case is still under review by the High Court. Appeals are pending. The fight isn't over. And yet, unbelievably, Chhatra League members later tried to return to Buet's campus as if nothing had happened. They attempted to revive student politics, sneaking onto campus at night. The reaction? Outrage. Students protested again. Some even called it shameless. The university was forced to issue another ban on all political activities. This case, Abrar's case, shook Bangladesh, not just because of the cruelty, but because it forced a nation to face tough questions about freedom of speech, power, and justice on campuses. Today, his story is still part of every conversation about student rights, political power, and the future of Bangladesh's universities. And now I want to know, what do you think? Was justice truly served? Did this change anything? Or is this a fight that still has a long way to go? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And that is all for today. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to click on the description link below to get the special discount CyberGhost VPN is granting to our channel users. This application will protect your data while you browse and give you full access to all blocked content on the internet for only $2.03 a month only. Totally risk-free, so check it out. Link is in the description.